Wellness Wednesday is brought to you by Adventist Health.
We're back in the kitchen upstairs here at the Edible Schoolyard program of the Grimm Family Education Foundation. And with me right now, Serena Castillo. And today we've got a recipe that's going to take us a little bit of time. Fair warning to our viewers, but we promise it's going to look, and I'm hoping it will taste delicious. And we're talking about homemade pasta.
Homemade. From scratch.
From scratch. That's why it's going to take a little bit longer, so hang in there. So where do we start?
But it is a really fun recipe. So although it's going to take some time, it is something that you definitely want to make with your family, friends. I mean, just have a huge little pasta party.
Perfect.
So we start with some flour. This is just regular all-purpose flour. And then we're making a little well in the middle. And in there, we're going to add our eggs and an egg yolk. Remember, the recipe will be on the website.
Perfect. And I'm already seeing this. It's going to be messy.
But that's the fun part.
That's the fun part. It can be a family activity.
And then we'll drizzle or sprinkle in some salt. So here we have just regular salt.
Okay.
And then some olive oil. Okay. So make sure your well is big enough, or
it's gonna go everywhere.
But that's why Kevin's here, because he's just gonna catch everything. So teamwork. And then you're just gonna beat the yolks and the white. So as you're beating it, I start by breaking it up a little bit. Then you want to keep going around and adding more flour.
It's like a dam. Don't let it break.
Exactly. But you also want to make sure you're adding as you go around. You know what I mean? So you're
slowly incorporating it.
And then, So, and what the goal at the end is just to make sure you get as much flour in as possible before you start kneading it.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the dough consistency will be more like a Play-Doh, a stiff dough. But you'll give it time to rest so that all the gluten starts to work and do its magic.
And the key is be patient in this process.
Patient and just take your time. I mean, again, like I said, if you have kids at home or family friends, take turns. You'll definitely get a workout at the end of this. So we're just going to keep, and you'll just keep
slowly coming around the edges and mixing it in.
Yeah. And this is just the old school way of doing things. And I mean, this is definitely a stress reliever as well. If you're feeling stressed, just come home and
maybe play a little music in the background.
Yeah, you set the tone in the kitchen. So, and again, if you are like staying away from regular flour and you want to do gluten, you can definitely make this with gluten-free flour. So just customize it to your diet, your lifestyle. Again, you can also add herbs to the flour. So the herbs would just add flavor to your dough.
Oh, perfect. So then you'll continue.
So we're going to continue.
Incorporate this.
And
for the sake of television,
we are just going to add adding, and then what also helps is a bench scraper. So you can also just start using the bench scraper to scrape and incorporate.
Perfect.
Like I said, it'll take some time, but this is a recipe we make with our students in like 5th and 6th grade. We've made it with parents.
That keeps them occupied for a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. And not just that, but you see the teamwork and the team building that goes on behind it and the conversations that it brings. And I think at the end of the day, that is the most important. Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't make enough time to have that simple conversation. Our lives are so busy and fast paced. This kind of slows the pace down and allows you to kind of communicate.
It does. So you do see it starting to like thicken up and get a little shaggy.
Flaky too. That flaky.
It does look like a pie crust when it starts to.
I was just thinking that with the flakiness, that's kind of
we're both thinking the same, right? And then you're just going to start kneading in the flour. So, and you want to incorporate all the flour, and I know it seems like, oh, that's a lot of flour, but you want that dough to be tough.
And is this something that you have to let sit overnight, or no, you can make the dough and then you can?
At least 30 minutes.
30 minutes, gotcha.
Yeah. So you want to wrap it in plastic wrap and then let it sit for 30 minutes. So, I mean, this, and then you also want to knead for 10 minutes. So this, what I'm doing here, this is like a 10-minute process.
So if you're one of those that also has a workout routine, you can skip that workout routine on your upper body because you're going to get all of that trying to put all this
It will
together.
not be an arm day that day, okay? So then,
Or if you were Maddie would be like this. She'd be doing the dough like this, and then she would be doing this. She'd be incorporating all her workouts in one, and she knows that I'm telling the truth.
then that's great. So you will want to continue for 10 minutes. I mean, I'm not going to do it for 10 minutes just because
Of time, for the sake of
right?
television.
We would be here forever.
But we kind of have the finish.
But we do have the finished dough. So like I said, it would be tough, but a great way to know too is how it bounces back up. You know that you've already had it, like, see how it springs up a little bit?
That kind of gives you a sign that it's good.
That it's good to go, and but you still want to go at least 10 minutes. Mine
Right.
was very short. So then you just wrap this in saran wrap, put it aside, and then what it would look like, this is what you would have.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm just gonna, thank you.
Want to help you out some way.
Thank you, thank you.
I just almost took your hand off.
You're fine. And then we'll bring out a cutting board. Again, you can also roll it out on your countertop, but I'm just gonna use a cutting board. And I like to cut it into a smaller piece because it's just easier to work with it that way. Because remember, when you're rolling out your pasta dough, you want to get it really thin, like paper thin.
Or it's
Because
not gonna cook right.
yeah, or if you have
Paper.
a pasta machine at home, I mean, you could definitely
If
run
you're
it
fancy
through.
and you have a pasta machine, right?
But we
I
are
know.
doing it by hand.
I would be doing it by hand.
Neither do I. So, and you want to flour it. Right now it's not sticking because it's a tougher dough. But if you want, you could just sprinkle a little bit to prevent it from sticking on your cutting board. And you're just gonna roll it as thin as you can. But the best part of making homemade pasta is when it is time to cook it, it's only going to take like a minute or two.
Oh.
Yeah, it cooks in minutes. So when you go to the store and you buy boxed pasta,
Right, takes a little bit longer.
it takes longer. And then not just that, you're also,
It's fresh.
it's not fresh. You know exactly what went into this pasta. Where the grocery store, of course, you have to add some preservatives to it.
And the key when you're making the pasta, you're boiling it, is you never want to cook it too long.
Yeah.
I like an al dente pasta.
Oh yeah, that's the best. So in here too, like with this one, like I said, it doesn't take long to cook it at all. So an easy indicator to know that it's ready is just to once it starts to float to the top. So you'll see that happen. Would you like to try rolling it?
Oh, sure.
It's not as messy. I
How
say
thin do we get it?
just keep going until you can see right through it. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding.
So it's paper
No.
thin.
Because when it starts to cook, it's also going to get thicker.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be really thin. And then something you also want to watch for is to make sure that you are, that it's not sticking to your board.
Which it probably
So-
just did.
No, we're good.
Oh, no, we're pretty
We're
good. All
So
right.
we'll just stop there. So there are several ways you can cut it. You can use a pizza cutter if you have that at home. You can use your bench scraper, which we just used to cook our pasta, or you can use a knife.
Gotcha.
And I personally like to use a knife, although we don't have one here. But we'll just go for it with the
The pizza cutter.
pizza cutter.
All right.
You want
So, sure. then-
You get to decide if you want long strips, thick strips.
Oh, okay. So,
It's up to you.
see if I can make the perfect pasta line. Oh,
Look at that.
look at that.
Easy peasy.
Now I just have to learn Italian and we'll be good to go.
Tell you, the kids love it. I mean, this is one of their favorite
You
recipes.
can't mess
to
it
make.
up. You can make them thin, small.
And it's just so much when they start to compare, like, oh, yours are longer, mine are thinner, you know? It just, like I said, it just brings a lot of fun
All right.
to
like
the
that?
classroom, just like that.
All right. And
So
then
over
we'll-
here on this side, we have some boiling water. You do want to salt your water a little bit. We added a little bit to the pasta,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it's your one and only chance to add flavor to your pasta is when you salt your water. So that's
Gotcha.
already been done. And we're just gonna lift it up and
Put them in?
yeah, it should be. We should be good.
All right.
And something else, last week you didn't get to try the pesto.
Yeah, so
So today we're gonna use it as the sauce to toss the pasta in.
Oh, nice.
Careful. Here we go.
All right. Voila! Pasta
And there
in
you
the
have
pot.
it, pasta. So then we're just waiting for it to come up to the top. So it might take a little bit longer. Like I said, it all depends on the thickness that you roll it out, but you could see some of them already starting to float. And that's what we're looking for. So while we're waiting for that, we'll just get our pesto started.
Perfect.
And the pasta water is great because that extra starch that it releases, it's going to thicken the sauce.
Oh, perfect.
So if we add the pesto into our bowl,
And I remember making this pesto, and it was so delicious. And I learned that, you know, it's not your traditional pesto because we use chives in this pesto. So there's different ways that you can make pesto, and I didn't realize you could use chives. So this is actually kind of a chive pesto that we are going to incorporate into this in just a second.
yeah, and like I said, the pasta water is just going to add, it's a little on the thick side, so it'll start to thin it out a bit.
I wish the folks at home could smell this pesto right now because it is just divine, and it's just going to go perfect with this pasta.
The garlic. And then that's all you need, a side salad with those summer vegetables that are in season, and
Perfect.
there you have it.
And I see the pasta starting to float to the top.
Starting to float. So again, that's all we're waiting for. Like
Is
I
the
said,
pasta
the indicator, and it's just, if you roll it out really thin, you don't have to wait as long.
Right. You should have rolled it out a little bit thinner.
No, it's fine. They're all starting to come up
They're
to
all
the top
starting
now.
to come up.
But it's a fun
It's a fun project for the
recipe.
family, and if the kids have never made pasta, again, so simple. And look at that. It looks delicious.
Ta-da. It looks so good.
And then we'll grab this fork, and we can kind of mix it up in there.
Or you could even use
Oh,
the
you
tongs.
got your tongs.
The tongs to toss it. So you could just toss that around.
Perfect.
And then I'll get it little. And then with a drizzle of lemon, some extra Parmesan cheese on top,
You'll be
and
set
you'll have
to
a
go.
nice little meal.
All right, so this is our pesto pasta, and I am going to give it a shot. I hope you will try it with your family at home as well. It looks delicious, and I'm going to try it, so try it yourself at home.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Wellness Wednesday is brought to you by Adventist Health.